All right. Hello, 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 everybody. It's going to be a very, very interesting musings show today because not only am I not by myself here, there's two other distinguished ladies with me right here. Actually, we have a mother-daughter team today. And just to put all of this in context, I'm going to go ahead and read an email I got from mom. It says it was Monday, April 4th. And it just said, "Hi, Egbe, I would like to share some good news with you with the hope that it will serve as encouragement to other young people when you post it to your groups." Because I'm a blogger and I have a bunch of platforms that I use. All right, before I could read the rest of it, I see a picture of a very pretty girl there. So I'm going, okay, Sister Kate, because that's what I'll call her, Sister Kate, because the school we both went to, well, I got to the school after she had already graduated. But when somebody is a little, even as much as little as 2 years older than you say sister. That's the form of respect. So I see this beautiful picture there, and I think, oh, Sister Kate knows somebody in her neighborhood maybe who's going for a beauty pageant. Because I see the and she wants me to go ahead and put this out there, and maybe I should get the people on my platform to vote for her, you see, so she can win the beauty pageant.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it and going, oh, what a pretty girl. And I said, okay, let me read the rest of the thing. And then it says, Sarah Friedman just got accepted to 7 Ivy League business schools. And she listed them: Stanford, U Chicago, Booth, Harvard, MIT, Sloan. I'm looking at all of that and my mouth is just dropping further and further open. So I'm thinking, oh, wow, she's gone and found this person who's not doing a beauty pageant, but somebody she just read about in a newspaper somewhere. Then he says, I am more than thrilled. Something about then the statement here, as her mother. That's when I threw my laptop down and let out a scream fit to bring the, because I was at work, which I shouldn't have been necessarily cheating to look at my email. But it came in there and I said, let me look at it. And I let out this scream. The entire class said, what's going on? And I said, sit down. Everybody sit down. And I read it to them. And they're like, what? I will not say the words that they use because the expletives and things, even when they want to say something good these days, they still do that.
Exactly.
Use the words. Yes. So just to let you know, my dear, you were part of my lesson plan for a solid week because you just are a model person. People need to know about this. So I'll have you tell our audience, our listeners, and eventually our viewers, who's this person? Who's this person?
I so appreciate even being here. So thank you for having myself and my mom. I'm sure you'll hear more about just my journey, but also our journey, because my mom has been instrumental every single part of the way. But I feel really lucky to be here. I think I know you said I was a model, and like I do feel like I hope I can be an example to others, but I would say this success.
You already are.
I appreciate that. But the success definitely is on the heels of like not always successes. And so there are definitely times where I failed. And I like when I look back on it, it's what's kept me going. It's what motivated me to reach these heights. And so I guess I say this because I think everyone's really capable of anything. And just because you've fallen down a couple of times doesn't mean that you can't get back up and reach the heights that you want to reach. So just a quick intro about me is I'm humbled by the word example and model, but I don't know that I have always been. So I'm so glad to be here, seriously.
Okay, so and what would you like me to call you? Would you go by Sarah? Would you go by Jemea? Sarah?
Whatever you want, Auntie. You can call me whatever you want, but my first name, my government name is Sarah. My middle name is Jemea. My family calls me Jemea, but my friends and work colleagues call me Sarah. And my middle name means joy. So I think that's very fitting. I don't know, Mom, if you agree, but I don't know how my parents had such clarity when they picked my name, but I do feel like I'm a very joyous person. Yeah. Would you agree, Mom?
No, I did say that. I tell her often that raising her was the best, was fun, so much fun. Oh. She always made me happy. I enjoyed going to, I took her to school every morning when we lived in Côte d'Ivoire, and I'll take her, and in France, and I'll take them to school in the morning. And when we got to school, she would say to me, Mom, can you ask my teacher, Veronique, is the teacher's name in French school, can you ask her how I'm doing at school? And I'll go up to Veronique, I'll go, Bonjour, Madame Véronique, ça va? And she say, yes. Et Sarah, elle travaille bien? She say, oui, Sarah, oh, exceptionnel. And this little kid will stand there, smile from cheek to cheek.
Oh.
Happy every day. She wanted me to find out from Veronique how she was doing at school, because she took an interest in her education. She was very proud of her success, and she wanted me to know that she was doing her best at school. So that kid, Jemea has always been a joy. Raising her has been a joy. Even when she was naughty, I enjoyed it as well. And she knows we had real battles. But
Every mother does and should have them, because that's the thing that I see to hear. People believe that they ought to be their child's friend.
Mhm.
No, you are there to parent them. And we're not talking about that. You must always be at loggerheads kind of a thing. That's not the idea. And some parents seem to think the child's going to hate me if I actually lay down rules and lines and everything. And I'm going, no, you're missing out on you're missing the point. Here's a daughter right here who knows that her mother didn't let her get away with anything, just any kind of thing, but for a good reason. Because that's you don't get to where she is now if mother said you could do just what you want. And trust me, this is what I just heard this story now about you. She says she wants you to ask. She knew that the answer, first of all, is likely to be a good one because she's been good there. And then she knew it would make you happy.
yes,
Mhm.
she did. She did.
Yep.
She worked hard to make me happy, and she was very proud of herself, very proud of herself. And there are times when she succeeded, had great success, and she wasn't present. You can tell her, Jemea, when you got the awards at the lab
I was
school.
gonna say that. And like speaking of like parenting, right, and tough parenting. So I always joke with my mom that she's been very strict with me. And in the moment I didn't like it. And I remember we did fight quite a bit. But I feel like today, when I think back and I reflect on like, what are the pivotal moments in my life where I actually changed, like it changed course for me. It's the moments where my mom was, she was tough when she was tough on me. And she said the things that, nobody else said to me. And so the one incident my mom just mentioned was I was, a bit of a slacker in high school. And I got, quite a few awards my senior year. And I didn't think I was going to win them. So I ended up walking home from the school. And my mom texted me.
But the school had told me that you were going to get it, and to make sure you were there, but I didn't tell you.
She didn't tell me. So I was unaware that I was getting awards. My mom knew. So she gathered all my siblings and, she had people fly in and all the things, made a huge deal out of it. And had expected me to be there, and I was walking home, and so I get like 10 missed calls from her, and I'm like, okay, why is this lady calling me? I don't want to go to this award thing. Like I
getting an award. Where am I going?
Exactly. So I didn't answer, and then I get text messages with threats, like if you don't get your behind here, you're gonna all your privileges will be revoked. It was terrible. So I got my behind back to the stadium or wherever we were, the auditorium. And got my awards, and I'm grateful for it. I feel like in the moment, again, I was scared. I'm not gonna lie, I was very scared of my mom's reaction, but I think she has like consistently been just very tough, but also very consistent with like, hey, school's important. Like this is what's gonna get you to where you want to be. You have these big dreams. You have the potential. You can do anything you set your mind to. That's literally what my mom says to me all the time, and actually all of us, all of the siblings. You just need to like go after it. That's all you have to do is like, you have what it takes. You just need to go after it. And so the moments I was wayward, she would pull me back, and it's been incredible. I joke with my friends that my mom would never accept a B+. So we have a family joke that if I came home with like a 98 out of 100, she would say, what happened to the 2%? What happened?
Yes, that is exactly how we function.
Exactly.
Here. I have my own 2 here, and it's the same story. Just 2 weeks ago, my son got an award. He was like, I have to just say, I think they can put it in the mail. They can send it to me. And I'm like, oh, you're going to take your tail off there to chapel, and go get that thing. And I'm going to I don't know what's wrong with you all, for real, for real. But you see, because we set our expectations for you high, then you rise up to them. If we just let you go, I would tell you that there one or two times, there's certain things you're not supposed to say to students and things, but there's the time I had to catch myself telling a kid when we got back in January after Christmas break, the whole vacation thing, and the kid comes with this pair of sneakers I know cost a lot of money, and I'm going, who got you this for Christmas when you have the kind of grades that I see in this grade book right here? No, you shouldn't say that kind of a thing, but I could not help myself. You see, somebody is rewarding mediocrity. Mediocrity is even putting it nice. Somebody is rewarding really horrible grades that kids had straight F's. Not just in my class. Oh no, you will not be getting a thing. You're not even be getting coal from me for those kinds of grades. I'm trying to point out the fact that that's what a parent's role will be. If they push and they tell you, not that they're trying to tell you that, okay, you'd go without dinner, lunch, and breakfast if you don't get this grade, but they're saying they see the potential in you.
Yep.
You can do it. And that's the thing, because I remember my son asked me once, okay, he didn't dare ask me the day off, because he had a report card there that he brought when he was, I think, in elementary school or middle school. And then there were A's, but there was a B in there, and I had a whole sermon and made a whole thing about it. He knew not to open his mouth and say anything when I'm doing that talking, that preaching thing. But the next day he came to me and he said, "But what's wrong with this report card? This is a darn good report card." And I'm going, you know what? If this had been even all D's, and I knew that you were just a D student who you have some disability, something, I would hug you and say, my son, you really have done the best you could. I know that you have these challenges and everything, but I know you can do better, so that you should not accept anything less than your best. That is the problem right there.
That's real.
I think Jemea haven't said that it wasn't always about the grades. It's how you performed. If you gave it your best, it was okay.
Right.
But if you didn't give it your best and then you had a better than, a grade that was not reflective of your potential, then I would get on your case. So I always said, don't really look at the grades, but look at the comments to the grade.
Yes.
Is Sarah improved? Is Sarah working hard? Is she participating in class?
The teacher actually did right in my son's case. The teacher actually wrote, could do better. I'm like, that's what my problem is.
Exactly, that's it. Could do better. If your teacher says you can do better, then where's the 2%?
Right.
Do better.
Right. What is it you don't? Because I keep saying, what is it that you don't have? That you see, that's going to explain why.
I think we're frozen here.
No, we're not frozen, Mom.
I think we're frozen.
No, you are.
Hello?
Mom, you're the one who's frozen. We're good.
Oh, there we are.
And she's back right now too.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the thing. This is a really interesting discussion, and I hope parents who are listening, children who are listening, students who are listening, picking up stuff from what it is that we're saying. Because some people say, okay, no, you're stressing out the child too much. That's not really the point we're making. We're saying we're encouraging them and push, because naturally, all human beings, not just students, will settle for the path of least resistance if you just let them be.
Yep.
Very few people get up and just say, I'm going to just work my tail off if my parents don't expect it of me. If nobody expects it of me, nobody's pushing me to that. You can tell when you get into a classroom, pretty much whose parents is even checking the grades.
Yeah.
And
I think it's important to say that raising the Sarah and her siblings, we took a very strong interest in their education, knew their teachers, knew their program, attended all parent-teacher meetings.
Right.
I invited them to be present during parent-teacher discussions. I told the teachers, don't ask me for an explanation. The student is there, ask the student to explain to you why they're having this problem. So we're very much involved in their lives, but they knew that we're behind them and with them.
Right.
And I think that was really very important for their education, because it meant that they were not alone.
Right. There was a whole
for
team
Sarah,
behind them.
Yeah, and for Sarah being here today, you might think she'll tell you a little bit about her educational trajectory. But this kid, there's been a lot of play as well as work.
Oh yeah.
Okay, a lot of play, because we always made it a point to party. Okay,
Right.
so when they were
You see,
in
and I'm sure
school,
everybody's going, what? Who are listening to this? Party plus this, how do you get party in this
yes,
equation right
yes.
here?
Now, because at school, when they were in primary school, we lived in Côte d'Ivoire in France. Every weekend, they'd invite their friends over and we'll have a big party. Every weekend, always fun, always laughing, something interesting.
Mhm.
But when it comes to homework done, we know the teachers are invited to the parties, the friends are invited to the party. So the kids knew that they were the center of, I don't know, were in the center of their lives and that we're supportive of them. But at the
Right.
same time, they knew that there were limits. For me personally, my kids are not my friends. I have my own friends. Okay.
Exactly.
And they have their
My
own
friends are
friends.
my age.
Yes. And I said to them, look, I am your mother. I'm supposed to guide you. I love you, but I'm not your friend. You find your friend. And if you do something that is not okay, I'll tell you. And she would, there are times when my kids hear somebody, another kid being rude to an adult, they say, Mom, if I
If you
said
had my
that,
mother, yes.
you would skin me. If I said that to
Correct.
somebody, a relative, whoever, my mother, you know, Mom,
Right.
you skin me alive.
Right.
Or you would do. And so even though they were not raised in Cameroon, they know that there is a line they have to toe, and there's a certain level of expectations and behavior that is expected of them. So
Right.
I think that overall, you know,
The environment in which you live,
education, play,
the
culture,
values.
tradition, values, all of those things, I think have what's made her the person that she is today.
Would you agree, Jemea? Would you agree? Yes.
I definitely agree. I think I do feel like my parents were supportive of like the full me. And so like not just the school me, and like and I joke a lot. My parents were tough. My mom was very tough academically. But she's right. There was also like a support of the other side of me, which was the play side, the friend side, the social side. And so I felt like I felt like I wasn't on my own in any way throughout any of this, which I think helped a lot. And then I will say the values piece, like I have my mom raised me with a very strong like value system. And I think that's helped a ton with just focusing too, like focusing where I apply myself, right? Because I could apply myself in so many ways, but I think the fact that my mom really, I mean, and one thing she hasn't said yet is that both my parents are have amazing trajectories themselves, and so like that served as a really great example for me as well. My mom has she is a boss lady on the call here. She has a PhD and an MBA, and she has raised 4 kids. And so, right, like she's been able to balance that, like, you know, the family and the work and the academic and all the things. And so I've had the right people to look up to as well. And that matters a lot, because when you see it
in your immediate entourage, not like somebody that you just see on TV kind of a thing. But you still, so it's been there, done that thing. You can't, what are you going to tell her? Oh no, it can't be done. She's like, yeah, it can be done. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
And my mom will tell you that, you know, not only can it be done, but my mom had, you know, she came to the US in her, you know, in her 30s, and she immigrated this country, right? And so if she can do it, I can do it, right? And so we have a lot of these conversations, and it is very motivating to see like both my parents having walked this path before, and tell me that like there's no excuse for you not to. If this is what you want, there's no excuse for you. So that has been really helpful.
I'm trying to point out to you what it is that you should, because at the beginning you can tell a child, a baby, elementary school, this is what is good for you. After a while, they themselves have to buy into it and see what is in it for them to understand, and then pursue it like you really would want them to. And there's a difference between somebody understanding that this is good for them, as opposed to my mother's making me do it. My dad says I should do this. So you're following a path that is not really the one that you would want for yourself, as opposed to what I'm hearing here is supporting what you already have set your mind to do. Then you're getting the support that you need. It shifts from when you're too young to know much better, then they're telling you education is the thing. Trust me, believe me, trust me on that. Take my word for it. After a while, it becomes you yourself. Because all of these schools that you applied to, I don't think your mother sat you down and said, you need to apply to this one, apply to this one, apply to this one. This is the list right here. come show me which way, where did you mail this one? You know, that's not this, it's not the same kind of thing. You yourself now are at the point where you can go. So you went to school in Cote d'Ivoire, went to school in France. How old were you when you moved here to this country?
Yeah, I was born here. So I was born in New Jersey, but moved at the age of 2 to actually Paris first, and then Cote d'Ivoire for 2 years, and then back to France, and then came back to the US really full time at the age of 14. So I was a sophomore in high school. And it was a culture shock. Although like at home, we spoke English, and like, you know, I would consider my parents to be pretty Americanized, but it was just, I had never lived in the US. And it's actually interesting that you mentioned that, Auntie, because the whole piece around like, you know, your parents are the ones who like push you when you're younger, and then you have to find the motivation in you. Because I actually do feel like that was me. And I don't know if you agree, Mom, but I felt like, you know, I wasn't, as I mentioned about like the role model, right? Like I was not the most, very early on, I was very studious. My mom mentioned that example of me when I was, you know, in first grade. But then, you know, I started, you know, kind of focusing on other things, non-school things. And then, and I was rebelling. I had some rebellious years where I was barely in school. My mom would tell you that she had to come to the school and say, "Where's Jemea? Please let me know." She told my teachers, "Let me know when and where Jemea is, because she should be in class. I want her to be the first in class every day." So I had those years. And then I think and I don't know, I can't tell you exactly the moment this happened, but I had a moment between my junior and senior year where I realized, like,
high school.
Yes, of high school. Yep. Where I realized, like, if I want to be the person who I think I am in my head, I have to actually apply myself academically. Like I cannot just sit here and focus on, like, you know, the social, my friends, et cetera. Like my friends aren't going to get me a job. My friends aren't going to get me. I mean, maybe they could, but highly, you know, it's unlikely that my high school friends are going to get me a job. And they're not going to, you know, get me to really, like, you know, reach my goals. And so I really started applying myself junior and senior year. And I think the dynamic with my mom shifted from my mom being, you know, on me about like, hey, you know, schoolwork, to then, you know, her realizing that it was something that was really important to me. And so she kind of backed off. And I would actually say, Mom, like starting around the time I went to U of I to now, my mom's been kind of hands off, really. And she's just kind of, you know, she listens, she waits for me to come to her with like, Mom, great news, this, or Mom, this, because I think she trusts that it's now coming from me, and it's something that matters to me. And so I'm gonna go do, and she's there to support, and she's there to, you know, to talk through it if I need to, or if she, you know, if it's something that's important to me, but she trusts that she doesn't need to push me as much. And so, and I think that comes really from within.
Right.
Yeah. I think if I should say that, you know, when those moments when she was, you know, nobody ever has a smooth trajectory. There were times when she was going through a really difficult period. And I think what is important that I did not let go.
Right.
I didn't say, oh, my poor kid. Oh, no. I went to her school and I said, I am her mother. If she's 1 second late, call me. If she's dressed inappropriately, tell me. If there's something you don't like, tell me. If she has a poor grade, this is my phone number. And I sat her down and I said, I've been to your school. I know your math teacher, French teacher, principal, they're all my friends now. And they will call me whenever anything happens. And they did. I sent an email recently where one of the teachers has said to me, has written to me, said, you know, we need parents like you. Parents like you make a difference.
Liz,
I went
me,
to the principal.
teacher right there. You are the dream parent.
I went to the principal and I said, this school is associated with the university, and I am telling you that my kid needs to take classes at the university. I am not asking you, I'm telling you. And she would say, well, Mom, no. I said, no. I've decided that you should make sure that she gets into those classes at university, because I knew that she was capable of it.
Right.
And I knew, and I know that if you don't tell the teachers that your kid, that you're watching over them, your children, teachers are likely to say, oh, this kid, well, you know, I'm not going to waste time with them. But they knew I was there. They knew I knew what they were doing. They knew I would speak up. They knew I would not take no for an answer.
Right.
And I think that support, her knowing that I was behind her, made her shape up. I mean, she'll tell you, I'm the kind of mother who will say, if you're 2 minutes late, I'll lock the door. I don't care.
Right. And the funny thing is, I actually ended up in the same high school as my own kids. I actually switched schools, left the school where I was working and came to the school when the school was opening, because it was like the school that was attached to our neighborhood. I'm like, why am I driving on the highway there, going to teach other people's children? This school. So I wanted to be there. I said to myself, I didn't go to school in this country. I don't quite know how things work here. So if I am right there in the building, their teachers are going to be my colleagues who can sit and say, oh no, this is how it works. This is how this works. Here's when to start taking the SATs. Here's what to take the so and so thing. That's how it works. And I did what you did there, even there in the building. I went to them and I said, look, as long as you don't give them to me in a casket and they're not bleeding, you carte blanche, do what you need to do. I give you the favor, go. So it got to the point where there was the day when my son was not feeling well. And I'm teaching and I get a call, what they call the white phone, which you can call into the room. And the principal says, I'm sending somebody to come cover your class. Please come on over and take your son home. I'm going, what's going on here? So what had happened? He knew that if he came to me and said, I'm not feeling good, I'd just say, just go on up and just go ahead and die in class. Yeah, I had told them when the school year started, I said, the only reason why we'll be leaving this school before the bell rings at the end of the school day is if you're in an ambulance and I'm driving behind the thing. If not, just bear it, do what you need to do, just go ahead and stay on there. So he knew. The funny thing is, on the way he had to go to get to the principal's office, he had to have walked right by my door. He tiptoed right there and went to the principal because he knew if he came to me, I'd say, just go back to class and try to see if you can bear it. So he went to tell the principal, and the principal had to call me and say, look, he doesn't feel good, come take him home. That's the thing, but because if you push children at that age, high school, push the boundaries, see what you would let them get away with. And if you don't do anything, set no boundaries, no expectations, nothing, they really would just do less and less and less. So I totally hear you. And we have the issue these days where the parents come and back the kid. And even I get upset with the teacher. I know some teachers don't do the right thing. The vast majority really do want the kids to succeed, the children to succeed. You don't look good if your class has failed. Only one person is passing in your class doesn't look good on you. So they do want the kids to pass. But the teacher is trying to say, here's where I think what's happening, here's what, and the parent is upset. So they tend to now just pull back. But most teachers, if you do what you did there, tell them, I really want the best for this child. Number one, it makes them feel free to actually teach from their heart and soul and do what they think is best. Number two, it tells them that there is this parent who's watching. It's a natural tendency. I know I'm going to get an email from Mrs. So and so asking how this child is doing. So I'm more interested in so and so's well-being. It's not as if I don't care about the others, but it's just instinctive and a natural tendency to do. If I'm going to get, like you're going to take an exam on this topic, then you make sure that you're up to date with it, up to speed with it. But when you have the parent who not only do they never ask, when you even call, you cannot lay hands on them. You try this number, that number, everything. It says this number is no longer in service. You try the next one, this so thing. In the end, even without you're really meaning to, you tend to say, and then focus on those who are actually doing something. It's a sad thing, but especially in the school, if it's going to be a public school, especially, where there's how many of them in the classroom? How much time are you going to actually spend doing what it is? So I'm hoping parents are listening. You really can't take your kid and just go drop them off there and say, that's it, it's the teacher's business. And then just sit back.
Teachers are partners. I was a partner with the teachers for the well-being of my children.
Right.
And my children knew it. They knew that when they left to go to school, I was there. In class, I wasn't present, but I was there. And when they came home, I watched over them. And she's very right when she says that after high school, I became an observer. You know, when she applied to all the schools, you're right. I never, she just told me, I'm going to apply to all of these schools. What do you think? I'll give her my advice, but she knows she doesn't have to take it.
Right.
Whatever I say, she knows. You can accept it or reject it, but whatever decision you make, let it be yours, because you
And
have
then
to
you
live
own
with
it.
consequences.
Exactly.
Yes,
Correct.
the consequences are yours. At this point in your life, there's nothing I can do except just, be there for you. So I think at some point you stop being, you're still supportive, but you're in the background, and they've
Correct.
learned enough that you've
Right.
created a strong foundation from which they can soar to go anywhere. And I think that's what she's done. Everything she's done it because she had a vision for her life, because she worked hard. I tell you, this kid can, when she wants to study, she studies.
Right.
When she wants to play,
She
she plays.
plays. Play hard, study hard.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
let her tell
that's
you
my
about
motto.
herself.
That's my motto.
Yeah, go. Okay, there you go. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about it. Like, what are your weekdays like as opposed to your weekends?
Yeah. So my week right now is not great because I'm I just finished, actually this last year has been hard because of applications, but I would say business school applications, my weekday. So I start, so I work in marketing right now, and I start pretty early, I would say like 8-ish, and I lead a team, which has been very challenging but fun. And I have like team meetings most of the day, and a couple of presentations, and then I log off. Usually I log off of like email and Skype around like 6, and then I like work on like getting the next day ready. So I like work on like sending emails out, or preparing presentations, what we call decks. And so I'm on from like 8 a.m. to maybe like 9 or 10. And I'm one of those people, I will tell you, I work more than most people, at my peer level group in the company. And that's intentional. And it's because I'm also, one of the few people who look like me. I'm one of the very few Black women at my level. And so I realize that, whether it's real pressure or it's just pressure that I put on myself.
Your own self.
Exactly. I realize
Probably
that
both.
it's probably both. Exactly. And it's important for me to, make sure that I always feel like I have a spot at the table. And whether that means that I have to like do, over prepare or, over like basically everything is in excess, right? So like I'm always over prepared for a meeting. I always like over participate in meetings. But I think what that's allowed me to do is feel comfortable being the one and only in a room. And I also
and trust me, it's teaching the people. See, because sometimes some of the things that we don't like that we see, but if you have not said anything about it, then nobody understands that it's a problem, or nobody cares that it's a problem. So if you let some things slide that are happening there, you see, it's a fine line we walk, and then you don't want to be the angry Black woman, but you don't want to be the pushover either, or the doormat either. So I can sit down there and see certain things happen and not say something about it. And sometimes you say, okay, let it slide, but you have to think about the fact that once you are that person, the one and only, as you call it, you represent a whole bunch of other people. Exactly. They are going to make rules and perceptions and things based on what you look like there. And at all kinds of levels is the interesting thing. Yeah, we're talking about a much higher level. But I remember when I started working at the first school I got here, where I was the only African, not the only Black person there, but the only African from the continent there. And I was there before the first bus got there. Because I was my thing is, they're going to say Black people get to school late, they go to work late, and that whole thing. And I don't want to even hear that. So I need to be there on time. So you pretty much carry the whole continent on your shoulders, because they are only going to see this one you and make judgments about their entire race based on you. So you don't have the luxury of having a headache and saying, I'll just get there today 30 minutes late. So I understand you totally about wanting to be over prepared, so you don't slip up, so you don't for your own self as a person who has integrity, but also because of that whole one and only thing. It's not an easy thing, but
and I would say I think what I realized too is the level of exposure too. I live in New England, so I live in Providence, which is pretty old American city that's not the most diverse, and I would say that the level of exposure to people who look like us is not always the best. And so it is important, to your point, like not only for me to show up as like my best self, but also for the next person who comes behind me, so that they do have the opportunity and like the door is open for them. And I think that that's one thing I've like really been passionate about is, getting the next Sarah in the door, because there's so many people who are talented and brilliant and all the things who just don't have the opportunity. And so, again, making sure that I can represent ourselves well, which by the way is a huge burden that I think is unfair for us to carry, but we still carry it.
There's a difference between what ought to be and what is.
100%. Yep.
And what is, it's not fair that it's that way, but I keep telling my own children and the children I teach, the kids I teach, I know this is not the thing, but then that's what it is for now. And one of the ways to change it, besides really going to do the parade with the whole banner and everything downtown, is to also do that here.
Yes.
And talk your way through and show the way through by being this thing, your own self. There's some people who do this, the issues that we face sometimes, it's people are just being mean, malicious, racist. Sometimes it's also ignorance. They really do believe what they think there. Until somebody comes along who shows them different, then they go, oh, really?
Absolutely.
This is not what we thought. And you show them by being, sometimes you show them by being, you show them by being you.
Yourself. By being yourself, 100%.
Okay. And you go there and it's, look, I can tell you, I don't have a European name. I have a long name. The kids, when they see my name to start with on their they print the name, the teacher's name on their schedule. They come in already with a certain perception. When they come in there, we're going to play this one around, and I stand there and talk to them before I start to say one word of French, in some English which the Queen herself would not speak. And then they're going, oh, wow. And then they say, because they start talking about the accent. I'm like, if I can understand your accent, then you can understand mine. Then you go, I don't have an accent. I say, oh, yes, you do. This English that you speak, so I come in like, it's true. But try not to do the thing is inside of me. But I have this face that says, no, you will not mess with me. No, you will not take me for granted. Oh, you're going to understand what I'm saying. The way I understand what you are saying. You're going to have to come and listen. And the thing is, most of the time in that school, I've been the only French teacher there. So I said, you're going to take French, or go take Spanish, go take whatever it is that you need to go take. This is the only French teacher in the building. So, and then now I keep, with every passing year, as you stay there now, it becomes a routine, and I keep saying, this is year 7, this is year 8, year 10, year 15. And if the others before you were able to cope, you sure can too. So don't tell me that old story about this and that takes the thing. I don't know what mom's experience has been with this thing we're talking about. So we might as well discuss it.
I have stories about this one, but go ahead, Mom.
No, I mean, we all have stories. I mean, if I tell you my story, we'll take forever. But this is Jemea's time and day. So I think she asked about her day, and she's explained what her day is like. I think also you can talk about your work and also how you play, and also the choice that if you've made a decision to go to which school you've chosen, and why you chose it, and what are your goals, expectations. What's your dream?
So I will say the accent piece, Auntie, before I jump into my weekend, is very real. I remember as a kid, feeling like, and this is mostly like I lived it secondhand from my mom, because I obviously have an American accent, which isn't an accent. I completely agree. But I remember, hearing people tease my mom about her accent. And I was like, this lady is more educated.
What does your mom say?
Who knows? My mom used to say, what accent? I mean, same thing as you, Auntie. What accent? You have an accent too. Like my mom used to just did not care. Didn't faze her at all. But I think it was there was like a little bit of it was strange to me. I was confused because my mom is arguably one of the most educated people I know. And yet people would, like belittle her for her accent, and especially again with people who are less exposed to Africa, right? You would hear things like, oh, when you go back to Cameroon, are you living in huts, and are you are you riding giraffe? I don't even know, people used to ask the silliest things. And I used to just be like, wow, it's not even,
the height of
what it
ignorance.
means. It's
Yes.
just ignorance. It's like pure ignorance, which is very, I mean, that's the state of our education system, to be honest, is we don't expose people enough.
Right.
Because there's a lot out there. And
sometimes, unfortunately, is the narrative that's out there too, what they choose to show. I remember I felt a little bad or a little mean, but when Katrina happened, I don't know how old you are, whether you were, how old you were when Katrina happened, but I said, like, there you go. I said, now see what happens if disaster strikes somewhere. People, this is what you look like. Now there's dead bodies there. Unfortunately, there's people on rooftops begging for, there's no food to eat and that kind of stuff. That is in the United States of America because disaster has befallen the area. There is a crisis. So when you go show only the kids in Ethiopia, where there's been famine and there's flies on their faces and stuff, that has happened to them. It's a humanitarian issue. Yeah. You don't just take everybody and lump them in the same thing and decide. So, because they used to say, so are you saying those pictures are not real from Africa? I said, no, they are real. But so are the ones from Katrina. Now, should anybody go and show and explain your entire country through the lens of just that one little bit? Is that a true picture of your entire country? No, it's not. Right. Neither is this other thing to, sorry, sis.
You know what, the conversation the last few minutes is really important, how we represent ourselves in work, how we represent our continent in work, how we represent the fact that we're women, Black women at work and in society. It's really important because we're constantly being questioned about those things. I mean, people have learned, they learn about African. First of all, we are in America where there is all this racial, conversation going on, and we are foreign to this conversation. We don't know it. And so we come into it, and people will see you, they don't know, they're not going to ask you, are you Cameroonian, are you Ethiopian? They will say, that's a Black woman, so you're African American. Right. And when you open your mouth to speak, they will say, oh, you have an accent. And when people will say to me, I have an accent, it will surprise me because I say, but you have an accent too. Whatever you're saying is an American accent, and so you have one too. And so is there a problem? I mean, and my kids will always say, why are you so rude? I said, no, I'm not being rude. I'm simply saying.
I'm just asserting, I'm being assertive.
Yes, if you say I have an accent, then you have one too. So if I don't call you on your accent, why are you calling me on mine? You have no right to call me on my accent. And it always makes them uncomfortable. But I think it's important to tell, you see, you have to teach people how to treat you.
Right.
You have to teach people how to take you.
Right.
You cannot, for me, there is a place that people cannot cross. I'm sorry, you cannot cross it. Right. And if somebody is trying to make me feel less than, they're wasting their time because it's never going to happen. I have my culture, I have my education, I have my values. I was brought up very sure of myself, and there's nothing anyone can do to bring me down. Exactly. It doesn't matter whether it's at work, it doesn't matter whether it's at school, it doesn't matter anywhere, even amongst my own people. It's not going to happen. I tell my kids, I said, look, in this life, you decide how people are going to treat you. Correct. If someone does not treat you the way you want, put them aside and continue on your path. That's exactly. Don't waste the time to get to understand them or to beg them to like you or to. Oh, no. It is not your business. Let them go. So, the idea of being a woman, a Black woman, an African woman in this society is a double-edged sword. And there are times when you're not even allowed to be angry. You're not allowed to express yourself because you'll be described as what? You're raising your voice, you're angry, you're this, and so we're always measuring. But I say to myself, no, I am not going to make myself small to make you happy.
So to feel you happy.
And I've told my kids, don't have somebody put a bushel on your lamp. It's your lamp, let it shine. Right. They don't like it, they should go someplace else. But let your light shine. And make no excuses. Make no excuses for being the person that God has created you, because He created you for a purpose, and make that purpose real. So
bingo. right there.
She's
And,
a good deal.
and if you don't, you see, when you have a mother like that, I tell you, thank God, yeah, who's telling you that? Because unfortunately, sometimes you have people have a mother who they themselves are already
Yep.
like cowering there, and whatever it is, instead, my own children have to stop me. They said, "Oh, that's why we don't tell you things, because look at how you're about to do." My son came over and said, somebody made fun of his last name. I'm like, they did what? Where's the phone? I'm ready to call the thing. And like, what? Why? You need to move that kid. So, I would take action about the thing. My daughter came, she said she's applied to, look, as I told you, we're in the same building. She's going downstairs to go ask for them to send her transcript to the school she wanted to go to. She comes back up with a crestfallen face. I'm like, what's going on? When she went there, the guidance counselor said, have you researched the school? Because it's tough to get into it and blah, blah, blah. And it's so expensive and blah. So a guidance counselor discouraging a kid from aspiring to where she wants to go. So I said, okay, well, when you left here to go on down there, were all of these things a problem? No. Now this person has spoken to you and you've come on up here and the problems have suddenly showed up. I said, look, I'm going on down there. She says, oh, please don't go. Because I was going to go and go talk. I said, okay, well, yes, you're right. Let's not do anything. But that's an example of a time when I said, just show them.
Yeah.
So go ahead and apply to the school. The day she got accepted to the school, they sent the t-shirt as a thing in the mail too. The thing. I said, I don't care what you plan to wear to school tomorrow. This is the t-shirt you're going to. I don't care if it fits you or not. It needs to say Cornell on the thing. Go to school with it. And we need to go walk right in front of this lady. It's petty and everything, but sometimes really.
Yeah.
And in the end, one by one, person by person, the more Jemeas there are, the more of all our own kids that we try to do, maybe we will change the narrative. Maybe we will change the perception. It may take a long while. We may not get everybody to see it like they should. But I think each time somebody stops and says, oh, wow, it matters.
Yep.
That's why for me, your achievement here in getting into 7 Ivy, being accepted into the schools is a big deal. It's a huge deal. And I'm so glad that you accepted to come sit here and let them see the person is not just talking about somebody. Maybe she just got something from out of a magazine. No, there she is. There she is. There's her mom. And come and see me say, I wasn't even trying to say, oh no, we come from the same area. I'm like, oh no, that's my sister. And that's my niece. That's my niece right there. Really. It is a big deal. So what advice would you give somebody coming along? What advice would you give them? What should they do? What kind of research should they do? Just what do you think? What do you think they should hear from you?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is, and not in order, but the person that comes to mind is surround yourself with people, with good people. And I call them like your personal board of directors, but like that's your family, right? Your parents, your siblings, your aunts and your uncles, but also your friends. I think when I think back at like the things that I did really well is I was very deliberate about creating a friend group that inspires me and motivates me and supports me. And I have like today a group of friends who when I was applying to business school, one of my very good friends who went to Dartmouth undergrad knew a lot of people who had gone to these schools. And the first thing he did was go through his phone and just connect me with all these different people who are graduates from these business schools, just to get a firsthand account of how it was, et cetera, and to help me kind of make my decision. So and that's just someone who, again, like was supportive, but I also think I have friends who are just, also breaking, glass ceilings too, which is inspiring. Like if my girl can do that, who I party with, I didn't tell you guys what I do on the weekends, but who I party with can break ceilings in medicine and do all these crazy things. Like I can do it in my own field too. And so I think that's the first piece is, surround yourself with people who love you, who believe in you, who are going to be there for the highs and the lows, because there were lows during this process. And I think that I had a support system who picked me up every single time. And that was beautiful. So that's the first piece. And you can be very deliberate about that too. Like you can pick the right people for that. But that's important because it's not an easy journey.
You don't know the difference between acquaintances and friends.
Oh yeah.
And we're not saying, okay, cut. I don't even say hello to you. No, but you are not my friend in my little inner circle, people that I can get along. So that we'll get that. That's when you talk about being deliberate. That's what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
I can say hello to you, but you're not the kind of person I'll go bounce off my ideas from.
Exactly.
What do you think about this? And they're like, ooh, don't you
No,
dare go do that.
exactly.
You're not going to make it anywhere with that. And discourage you. Just put a little, just deflate a little balloon.
Yep, that's exactly right. I had friends read my essays. Like, I think 3 of my really good friends read my essays and tore them apart and said, this doesn't sound like you. Like, we know you and this doesn't sound like you, rewrite them. And like, I only had a couple people read them because I think there's everyone has opinions about everything. And so I needed to kind of narrow it down. But yeah, that's friendship, is people who you know are gonna, again, give it to you in the realest way possible. Because they have your best intentions, right, at heart, and they're not competing with you. They want to see you be your best self. So I would say that's the first piece. Other piece of advice, and this is probably the most important one, is believe in yourself. And I know it sounds so cliche, but I think, like, especially as a Black woman in this country, like, it's easy to say, right? Like, it's easy to almost, like, be a victim of the narrative about us, which is that, like, we're like, we don't see ourselves in, like, the boardrooms. There are only 2 Black women CEOs in the Fortune 500. Like, all of those stats, right? It starts to feed into this, like, self-doubt that we have and this imposter syndrome. And it took me a lot of internal work to get over it. But, like, I think the fuel for me applying to B-School was, I know I can do this. I'm going to prove myself wrong. I'm going to prove everybody else wrong that I can do this. Because I know I have it. I know my parents believe it, but I needed to believe it too.
Yes,
So I could push for it. And so, like, believe in yourself, because there's only one of you. And so, like, there's, and I think everyone's capable. I know some people say, like, some people, may not be able, everyone's capable. If you put your head to it and you apply yourself, you are capable, and you can reach any goals you have, which is it's beautiful. So that's the second piece. The third piece, word of advice, is, celebrate the small wins. I know my mom's like, I'm known in the family for, like, obviously the fun loving one, but life is hard. Life is scary, sad. I mean, there's recent news that has gotten me down personally. I won't necessarily call it out on this interview, but especially with COVID, I think I feel like I've realized how fragile life is and how fragile our, like, connections and relationships are. And so, like, celebrate the small wins and the small moments. Like, hey, when I got done with my GMAT, the first thing I did, and so my mom wants me to talk about my fun so much, but the first thing I did was book a flight to DC and invited all my friends to DC. And we went out, we had a beautiful meal that my mom prepared for us. And it was some of my friends got to meet my mom for the first time. But that was, like, when I thought about, like, how do I want to celebrate this small win of just completing one step in the whole application process? I wanted to be with my family and my friends. And so I did. And it felt good. It felt like I was closing a chapter, and I had enough momentum and energy for the next one. And sometimes I feel like we run on empty because we're, like, constantly chasing the next goal. And I think celebrating the small moments, life is short, celebrating
I was just going to
every
say
single
that.
win.
All those cliche things, I believe in cliches. Cliches are cliches because they're true. They're true. We've said them enough because they happen all the time. Life is short. That's just a fact.
Seriously,
you only live once. Yes, that's true. We only do live once. So you can you go through life, nothing as sad as going through life, just feeling like this is the drudgery. Just keep going, keep going.
Yep.
And there's no time to sit back and smell the roses. That's another cliche.
Absolutely.
That's the truth, though.
I think that has helped me survive this process. Is once I finished something, I went to celebrate. I wanted to. It's almost like I was looking to get, like, my cup poured back in, right? I wanted to, like, my cup was empty. I drank it all. I needed to get refilled. And so that was really important for me. And it was helpful. And then I think the last piece is, and this is one that I struggled with a lot, but being honest with yourself and, like, truly doing some, like, introspective work on yourself. It's scary because I think, so one of the parts of the business school application is there's an essay, right? And it's kind of a personal statement. And actually, I didn't mention this, but the school that I'll be attending in the fall is Stanford, which is very exciting. Exactly. And their essay is what matters most to you and why. And Harvard has one that's actually very similar. So a lot of the schools have very similar prompts, but I think this process has pushed me to really get to know me better and be honest with myself about who I am. And so I wrote actually about my journey, and really I call it it's my journey from like childhood to B school, which is about like, you know, self-discovery and really being comfortable with like who I am and my identity. Because I didn't always feel like I had a place in the
being
world.
authentic.
Exactly. That's the word I used, is authenticity was what mattered most to me. But I wrote about it because I didn't always feel, moving in different spaces, I didn't always feel like I belonged. And wasn't always, people didn't make me feel like I belonged. I was like, you know, bullied here and there and all these different things. And for my hair, for my skin color, all the things. And when we moved to Chicago, I had just a couple years of like really getting comfortable with like all the things that I am, because I'm more than one thing, right? I'm Cameroonian,
Right.
German
And
American.
that is something to celebrate.
Exactly.
All
Exactly.
the components that make this person is
Exactly.
just, in fact, the more components that make a person, the richer they should be, the more
Exactly.
intriguing they should be. But instead, because we have little squares, you're supposed to fit in one. And then once you are in between two things, or then you have neither side being accepting. And then we make little categories, subcategories, sub categories. And then we human beings do have a very interesting way of just creating our own problems. Besides just, okay, the things that you cannot fix are there. Then we do see what we can do. Like, how can we make some more?
Yep.
And just make things difficult for ourselves and for everybody else in the process.
Yep. I completely agree. And I think that like writing about that journey made me realize like this authenticity piece is what drives me. It's what I'm passionate. It's because of what I went through. It's what I'm like most passionate about. I only want to be in spaces where I can be my full self, be all these different things, because I agree with you. It's what makes me unique. And so like I was honest with myself when I was like through the writing process about like who I am, what matters to me, etc. And I will never know, but I think the admissions folks really liked it. Apparently, they told me when I went to Stanford. She mentioned my essay, but I think it also like helped me realize that in this like pursuit of business school, it's not just about the professional and the academic for me. It's also about like personal growth. And really becoming the type of leader in the business world that will like actually foster those types of spaces where people can be their authentic selves. It is so important and like direly needed right now. Right. I feel like we're in a place
I don't know, I'm sure you did. I don't know if you watched the Supreme Court justice.
I did.
And I was sitting there, that as the tear was rolling down this dear lady's face, it was rolling down mine too. Yes. And I was like, how dare I'm sitting here like, how dare you know, and then they're talking about surrounding yourself with good friends. There comes her roommate to come and say, my friend is a good person. I'm sitting there going, I can't even begin to tell you how important that is to see, how important that is for you, for you to be there, for us, for our younger daughters, younger nieces at home, to see we need people like you there to come and be your own self. Uncomplicated, authentic is what your mother said. What you said you yourself wrote. Authentic. Enough as you are.
Exactly.
Enough as you are. No affectations, no anything. That's how my hair is. That's how my hair is. That's how I am. That's how it's created. Deal with it.
Exactly.
And have you checked my brain lately? What does all of that stuff have to do with what's in here and what I can contribute to the world and contribute to everything? It's an amazing journey you have had, an amazing story, and there's lots more coming. I hope I'm going to still be alive the day you are doing your own interview, your own Supreme Court thing, your own whatever thing happens up there. So I can sit up here in my living room and scream at the TV and tell people what it is that you need to believe. Like, yes, she told you. She sure did. Yes, that kind of a thing. Where all I celebrate the success. Sorry.
I said you can share this video then.
Oh yes, I knew it. I knew it. We all knew it. We all saw it coming, and it has. And we think about all of those who, the odds were so stacked against them that they never made it that far. And that in this point in time, not that it is necessarily easier, but it is happening, and you happen to be placed in a thing. It's very much like the story, like the story of Esther in the Bible there. She was in that place for such a time as this. So if you're in this spot right now, you carry that with you. Nobody wants, no pressure. We don't want to put all of that on your precious little head. But it is there. It is there. You go to the school, you go on to Stanford now. We know what school, because everybody's asking, do you know what school she finally chose? Do you know? Now we know. And when do you start? When is it an in-person thing? Are they still doing?
Yeah,
you actually will go to campus.
I will be moving to the West Coast first week of September. School starts second week of September. So it's coming up.
You carry all our best wishes, all our prayers, all the, I don't know what else we can do. Short of actually going to help you move your luggage with us.
Thank you, Auntie. Honestly, I will make you guys proud. I really will. I have big dreams of really changing our lives, because we've had, and so one of the things I'm passionate about is hair, because of exactly what happened to me as growing up. And I will start this. I have to start this business, because we're so often overlooked and underserved. It has to stop. And there are people like us, like me, there are tons of other women and men who are going into these elite institutions to get a degree. And so we're coming back after this to change our lives.
That is such a wonderful thing to hear, because I keep saying this, like when the issues, there was the Trayvon Martin thing, or that thing, the kids would say, okay, the school usually would say, okay, there's going to be this rally thing in the courtyard, but it's at the discretion of the teacher whether you can go participate or not. So I'll say, okay, yes, you can go, you can go. And then when they get back, I'm like, okay, that's one part of the whole thing. Now let's talk about what I have seen in my great book right here. You sit here. I said, you see, how are these things going to change if you don't get into the positions where you can make the changes?
Absolutely.
You have to be there at the level where those things are being done. You don't like what's going on in the police force, you go be the superintendent there. When somebody says, this is what to do, you say, no, that's not it. If you're not, we don't have women generals, women, whatever it is in the army, then people will still keep saying cornrows are not neat and don't look good. Then you can sit and say, since when? No, that's just fine. Or I happen to have, because of the right thing, when I see people saying, okay, being on not understanding of somebody who is doing the little fast because it's their religion says to fast from this time, and you're either making fun of them or not understanding, I'm able to say, no, you can't do that. It comes from somebody who knows the thing, who knows the ins and outs of the thing. Nobody can tell your story for you. Nobody can tell your story as well as you would, because nobody has walked in your shoes. You have. So you come from a very different place. And then you're more authentic, because I can stand here and say, here's what Asian people like you, because I lived there for 5 years. It's somebody who has actually got, first of all, the whole idea of I could go on forever, because you say, okay, there's that Spanish girl that I say, okay, is she from Spain? No. I'm like, so why are you calling her a Spanish girl? And then do you know what country she's from? They're like, what do you mean, what country? Mexico? I'm like, okay, are you really from Mexico? Are you Mexican? No, I'm from Guatemala. And then there's just so much to unwrap in this whole thing. And it only will get better through what you're doing.
That's
excelling and not doing do exactly what your mother said to you. Don't let anybody come cover your bush, cover your light, your lamp with a bush of shine. Some people think it's arrogance, some people think it's pride. No, it's not. It's being your authentic self and not having to apologize for who you really are, who you're really created to be and put here with a purpose. So you're going on to go fulfill that purpose for your own good, for the good of other Black women like you, for the good of an entire race, for the betterment of the world even. It's not as if we're saying, I just want to go do something that's going to benefit only me or my race. How is that not making the world, the entire world, a better place? It is.
Another thing I tell my kids is that don't forget, you were created whole.
Right.
God did not leave any part out.
Right.
So remember that he made you special. He knew why he was making you, and he created you for a purpose.
Right.
So just set a vision, set a goal, work hard. When you fail, you fall down, get up, brush it off, and start all over again.
Mhm.
You know, everybody fails. It's how you get up. It's what you learn from that experience
Correct.
that matters. And don't be a copycat. Don't say, because my friend is going to the bar, so I'm going to the bar. You don't know anything about your friend's circumstance. You have your North Star. Identify your North Star and go for it. And I
Beeline.
think that is what, yes, that is raising Jemea has always been like that. She's a fun kid. I remember coming home and seeing her and just being happy. Just
Right.
in all her craziness and madness, she is joy. She is just incredible joy. So
Oh.
I'm extremely, I have 4 children, and she is the third. And they're all very different, even though they were raised the same way, and each of them is special in their own way. But I'm very, very proud of Jemea. Not more than I'm proud of my other children. I'm proud of her because of who she is, and because of how she sees herself, and because of the belief that she has in herself. And also to say that Jemea has, when you talked about being arrogant, there's no ounce of arrogance in her. She's very empathetic, very understanding, a good listener, extremely kind, always looking out for somebody else, trying to make sure that they're better and she can do something for them. So she's an incredibly wonderful human being, a real creation of God. That it's a pleasure to be around her. It's not, if she wasn't my daughter, I think she'd be my great friend.
That is an amazing thing to hear a mom say about their daughter, and that makes the person real. You see, because that's what I wanted this for, and I didn't want it to be an interview. This person, and then stop over to you, and you say 3 lines and stop there. Next question, so and so thing, and a rigid kind of a thing, and then nobody gets a true feel for the person, and so this person is real, and then you're believable. You are believable to anybody who's listening on and watching. Yeah, that's a person right there who's just inspirational. Your story is an inspiring one. And this is barely, I don't know, a tiny little fraction of it.
Yeah.
As I've said, there's a lot of it coming. There's a lot more coming. And everything, what you're calling failures, what you're calling setbacks, is part of the whole deal that you needed to get to where you are now, and that you will need to get even further. Nobody learns anything if everything goes well, smooth sailing all the time. You don't learn a thing that way. It's the hurdles and the obstacles that make you who you are, because you learn how to navigate them, learn how to go around them, how to surmount them, and that's how you grow. That's how you grow, and it prepares you for the next stage. When you get there, it's like, oh, I know how this thing, I'm not going to fall down that same route again. I know how to circumvent this whole thing and get to where I need to go. So it's all for a reason. Nothing happens like that just to be a heartache or headache for nothing. It is part of what you need to learn to move to the next stage. So we're proud of you. Your mom maybe is your number 1 fan. Here's number 2.
Thank you, Auntie. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you for giving us the time to share.
My pleasure.
Seriously, this has been really great. I can't wait to make you guys proud. I can't wait to make myself proud and make you guys proud too.
Right. We are all ears. We'll be listening down, we're asking your mom, so what's the news? What's the news? And then soon you will be the news again. I tell you, you're part of my lesson plan for 2 straight days.
I love it. I feel so special.
Right. I'll pull up the thing you're allowed to say, you see, there you go, there's my niece. Anytime that's the thing, I'm like, what are you talking about? Go get you see, even at the little level, see somebody who's going to go to this, go apply. I cannot go, have you asked about grants? Have you asked about loans? Have you asked about this? Aspire to something better. Don't just sit here. You're not helping. You're not helping. All of those people that marched, got water hosed, beaten, for you to come sit here and not take advantage of all of this stuff. That's the problem. That's wrong. What you're doing is wasting the sacrifice of other people who fought so hard to get you to this point. It's not right for you to just sit back now. You don't have that luxury. You're supposed to do something about it. And it doesn't matter now, okay, immigrant parents, yep, their children can excel. Stop saying, I wasn't born here, my parents were not born here, so we only need to go to this so and so kind of jobs or just up to this. No, 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 you can. So
Yep.
I just thank you for being you.
Oh, thank you, Auntie. That means a lot. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much, Egwe, for this inspirational conversation. Thank you for being so supportive.
Yes.
Thank you. I mean, you know, I tell you privately, so I don't have to, you know how I feel about you, because I think you're special too, very special, because you started something that was new, that was first of its kind, and that other people are learning from, have joined into, and which is a source of news for people. And I am really hopeful that this is going to grow big, very, very, very big. I know that because I look around me and I see what's going on, and I don't see anybody else doing what you're doing. And that makes me feel good. And as I said to you before we started recording, I just hope that this is going to grow to take advantage of all the different social media, technology, and also to address the needs of the community.
Right.
You know, because I think that people will tune in to learn. It should be a learning platform where people tune in to learn something new, to be different, to be inspired, to grow, to be what they really want to be. I think
best
if you
selves,
can do that, then
live out your full potential. Don't come and live half of it.
Yes.
Health-wise, education-wise,
yes,
everything.
Yes.
If things can be better for you, why are you settling?
Yes.
Settling for less. Anything from, I tell you, sis, you know you're going to go for a tangent. You're sitting there, somebody has told you should stay there. Somebody has already beaten you, you've lost your vision in one eye. You're sitting there for them to do what, so you cannot, I mean, there are things that just make me go, oh.
It's a small step by step, we'll get there. But
yes.
I'm very, very impressed by you. I really congratulate you and keep on the good work.
I will by God's grace. Yes. And I cannot wait for the day Jemea comes right back to see that, say, hey, I'm done with it. And here's where I'm going. Here's the business. Here's what's going on. Just
I would love to.
You have your cheerleaders. We are here ready to get out of vuvuzelas and toot, toot.
We'll show up for your graduation, sweetie.
Oh, yes.
Okay, I love it. I love it. Thank you for the platform too. I think I hope that this, you know, inspires someone, or at least, you know, it gets someone to think about things differently. So thank you for the platform.
I cannot wait to have my own daughter watch. Maybe I'm actually going to just go ahead and say, come take a sneak peek before I even get this aired. Come and listen. Because that's her days. She's like, oh my goodness, I do not know what I went to do this MBA thing for. It's just so, and I say, just take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath and just keep going. You'll be all the happier and prouder when you're finally done with it. It will, all of this will end, and it will be for the struggle part to get the whole certification thing will end, and you'll be now happy that you did. You got the thing done. You fulfilled your dream and stretched yourself out to your full potential. Don't just keep doing the least thing. The path of least resistance was just like, okay, I can do this one without any exertion, and you do that. No, you should keep pushing because you have it in you. Use the talent God has given you. So thank you, Mom. Thank you, daughter.
Thank you.
Excellent pair. And I cannot wait to have you back anytime. And I'm going to have Sister Kate back. She has wonderful ideas about women's empowerment and things. Yes, I need you back on this show.
Okay.
All right then.
And thank you so much, and God bless you. And I won't be here for this online for the celebration on the 22nd because I'll be on the air somewhere. But I'll be thinking of you. And God bless you. And big things ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Safe travels to you. And I know you're bringing back more knowledge, more stuff, research and all. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. It's helping. It may not look like it all the time, but it's helping. We need it. We need it badly too. All right then.
All righty. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.